Amitha Verma. I'm on the hunt at one of my favorite antique shops, Village Antiques, looking for my next project to paint. I love scouring through antique shops and vintage shops looking for the next perfect piece for my projects. I just came across this gorgeous secretary. Well, it's not so gorgeous yet, but I'm going to show you exactly how we're going to transform it to make it a beautiful, one-of-a-kind designer piece for any room. What I love about secretaries is they're still very useful for our modern day usage. With the use of smaller tablets and workstations and being able to work from our phones, we can shrink down our workspaces and reuse these beautiful centuries-old pieces in our decorating. Now here you can see the before of this secretary. I know it's not in good shape. It looks pretty banged up, it's pretty dirty, dingy, and worn down. But this is the perfect candidate for a furniture paint makeover. As soon as I saw this piece, I knew all these gorgeous details would come to life once we applied our beautiful Amitha Verma chalk finish paint all over this piece. Now to get started, you want to give your piece a good cleaning before you start painting. So before I get started, I'm just going to get a soft cotton cloth and give my piece a good cleaning to remove any dust, grease, or grime. So to get started, we're going to open up our can of French Gray, and I want you to give it a good stir. The paint is very thick, like painting with pudding or low-fat yogurt. So before you get started, give it a good stir. Now to paint the paint onto our piece of furniture, we're going to use our 2-inch transform brush. That's my favorite size brush for the majority of pieces and projects that I paint. Now I'm going to take my brush, dip it into my paint, and get it nice and loaded up, nice and full. And I'll start right here in this corner and show you how I'm going to just start brushing out long, beautiful brush strokes, just like this. Here you can see the coverage is amazing. It's so phenomenal and makes this process so fun, so effortless, and so easy. I'm just brushing out these long strokes and getting that first coat evenly applied all over my piece. If you want a less perfect finish, you can apply a lighter brush stroke, just like I'm doing right here. And if you prefer a more thicker, fuller bodied brush stroke or coverage, you can brush it out a little bit thicker, just like I did here. There's no right or wrong. Each technique just depends on your project space and that ultimate look that you want to achieve in your home. Now that the entire secretary has been painted with French Gray, I can see all these little beautiful details that are really coming out, and you're going to start to notice the same thing when you paint your furniture projects. Oftentimes people tell us, oh, my furniture is so plain, there's no details, there's nothing fancy about it, but you'll be very surprised to see all these little unique details that come to life once you start painting your piece. So in order to do that, I'm just going to get a smaller brush, and I'm using Provence blue here, and just identify certain areas that I really want to pop out a little bit and apply the paint to these areas. Now that all of the different paint colors have dried, I'm ready to move on to the next step in my project, which is where I'm going to apply my clear sealer. In order to protect my piece, I'm going to use our Protect Clear Sealer, which is going to give our piece a really beautiful top coat that's going to help protect against stains and wearing and tearing. I'm going to use this brush. This is called the Protect brush, the Amitha Verma Protect brush, to apply my sealer all over my piece. I take my brush, dip it in, and just get a very thin coat all over my brush. And then I'm just going to wipe on a very thin, light coat all over my piece. And you can see how quickly I'm going. This is just going to take a matter of a few minutes to apply all over my piece. Now once I finish applying my Protect Clear Sealer all over my piece, I'm going to let that dry for about 20 minutes. Now that the top coat is dried, I'm ready to move on to the next step, which is by far one of the most favorite parts of the entire transformation. In this step, we're going to use our Enhanced Antiquing Glaze to add a little bit of patina back onto this beautiful antique piece. Now in order to do so, I'm going to use this brush, which is called the Amitha Verma Enhanced Brush, which was designed specifically to help you apply the antiquing glaze with control and precision. To get started, I'm going to take my brush, dip it into my glaze, and get a thin coat all over my brush. If you're not sure how much is a thin coat, keep a piece of cardboard with you and just brush off any of the excess. Once I've done that, I'm going to start applying a very thin coat all over my piece. Here you can see just how thin it's going on, and if it goes on streaky like that, don't worry, the brush is really going to blend it out for you. Once I've applied my first coat of enhanced antiquing glaze all over my piece, I let it dry for about 10-15 minutes, and then I go back and add a little bit more wherever the piece might have naturally aged or shown wear and tear. That tends to be in some of these carving details and in some of these molding areas or areas where fingers would have been used all around hardware. I'll let the first coat dry, and then I'll go back and add a little bit more. Are you ready to see the beautiful after? How beautiful this secretary turned out. It's such a perfect piece and a great piece to use every day. I love how we were able to take this old, unwanted piece of furniture and turn it into a designer dream with such a simple makeover. Here you can see just how beautiful this piece turned out. I love how we were able to take this old, discarded piece of furniture and turn it into a designer dream with a simple and beautiful Amitha Verma makeover.